Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now November 17th of 2023, and given that we have a lot of things going on right now within the Hollywood bubble, such as the failure of the Marvels by Disney and Marvel Studios, as well as the upcoming Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Lionsgate, which by the way is already getting below average reviews from critics, and I must be specific by the critics, side of things with that film. But there's a lot of things happening also with the future of Marvel, a lot of delays from the 2024 releases getting shifted until 25 and beyond. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, the one major thing revolving around Rachel Zegler is that we know that she is the one that directly caused all the Snow White drama, all of the Disney issues that they actually were dealing with as a result of her PR disaster, based on the comments that she made about Snow White 1937, and the comments that she actually made about Andrew Burnap quite possibly getting cut from the movie because that's Hollywood baby. Now, what's interesting about this, though, has a lot to do with Rachel Zegler and her overall position in Hollywood. We know that many studios have been dropping her like flies, that want nothing to do with her at all, and essentially just banishing her from ever getting an acting gig, period, the end. This is why her IMDb really holds no significant blockbusters ahead by any major studio per se. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot to do with what Rachel Zegler is doing in response. Now, with Zegler currently dealing with multiple Hollywood studios that either fired her or blacklisted her as a result of the Snow White drama, and how Disney let her go from multiple projects, including Pirates of the Caribbean, one major development has to do with how Rachel Zegler is now taking action against the studios after getting her fired from them behind the scenes. A significant update to this ongoing drama is that Rachel and her team, including her agent and manager, are blaming studios such as Sony, Paramount, Disney, and even Lionsgate, where Zegler is now attempting to take legal action somehow, some way against some of these studios, since she was reportedly signed on for multiple projects via a contract from those like Sony and Lionsgate. Though this legal action is most likely to go nowhere, Zegler is moving forward of doing this with her team and is playing the race card on some of these studios and going by fan toxicity as the main cause for some of these studios making their decision to fire Rachel Zegler. For starters, Rachel was set to portray a new superhero character in a planned spin-off film by Sony to the upcoming Madame Web film. The title and details of this project are currently mysterious, however set within their own Spider-Verse, so to speak. Second is that Lionsgate dropped Paramount, of course, or dropped Zegler from those roles after Paramount did, from a role that she was signed on for by contract. This was going to be a new action thriller that is still going to be announced by this March with a brand new lead in the cast, something that Zegler was reportedly infuriated about when she learned the news of her getting fired via Paramount and Lionsgate completely after all the Disney drama. The same goes as well, specifically by Lionsgate, after they dropped her from a very big and important role that she was promised to begin production on by the middle of next year, that came as a result of her contacts and connections after filming The Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes with them. Now guys, let me just stop here for a moment. Now, the thing about Rachel Zegler that I think is absolutely important to take note of is that this is somebody that is very much like BRIE LARSON, Amber Heard, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and among others out there that are very much self-absorbed and really too wrapped up in their head about their current status as an actress in Hollywood. Zegler really is jumping way too ahead, way too fast, because she's so early on in her career, if you even want to call it a career at this point. Every single movie that she has been in so far has been a box office failure. West Side Story, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, and even now, Lionsgate is anticipating that the Songbirds and Snakes film is actually going to underperform as opposed to their previous expectations. Now, whether or not that's going to become a flop based on how big of a budget their actual movie was is really all highly dependent on repeat viewings and how many people actually go ahead into the theaters and watch this thing. Now, here's the thing about this too that I think a lot of people need to be aware of, is that a lot of people have been wondering, how in the world is Zegler getting all these roles and all these offers? Well, it has a lot to do with her agent and manager, who have been relentlessly pushing for her to become the new it girl. And I cannot stress this enough. You can't force an actress to become a new it girl in Hollywood. It just happens on its own naturally, kind of like Jenna Ortega, or in the past, Cameron Diaz, among other examples out there. It just happens. You can't just make it happen like flicking a light switch. It doesn't work that way. So that's what her team is now really going against these studios for, is that they are blaming fan toxicity as the main decision as to why they dropped her from all these roles. And like I said before, Rachel Zegler, not a big surprise, pulling the race card about why they are letting her go, which is just completely false, and really something that studios probably would never do, especially studios like Paramount, Sony, and Lionsgate. So anyway, what's interesting about this further is that both her agent and manager are already preparing to create a plan of legal action against at least 2 or out of 3 of these studios, apart from Disney, as some of which had, of course, her more closely involved toward production. Though this is likely not to go in a serious path for Paramount, at least, Lionsgate, and or Sony, some of the projects that Zegler was fired from were cancelled as it turns out, while others are set to recast and get someone else on board, much like Disney did with their Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, with at least one film now holding Jenna Ortega instead of Rachel Zegler as the main lead character in that film. So I don't know if you guys have been aware about this. We talked about this. Zegler was connected to the Pirates reboot film. She got let go from that after all the Snow White drama. Jenna Ortega is involved in at least one film so far right now. She was going to be involved in a multi-film contract. She shot down multiple movies by Disney, and rightfully so, by the way. I don't even know why she's dealing with the first film, but time will tell if she jumps off board of this project. But what's interesting about that is the fact that this happens all the time in Hollywood, you know, more often than not, where you have situations like this where things don't work out with the actress, the studios can't deal with it, and they have to move onwards. They have to make better choices. And it seems like Zegler just cannot take that period at the end. Very much like the other actresses that I mentioned before, very thin-skinned, not really meant for Hollywood, not really meant to be in the public eye per se when they meet criticism and negativity. That's something that you really need to take professionally, either in public or behind the scenes. So what's interesting about this further is that I think it's going to be quite a ride to see how the Hunger Games performs. Now look, of course Hunger Games fans in general most likely will at least be entertained by this movie, but those that are just seeing this movie for what it is, we'll have to wait and see how they react. We know that official critics are not liking this film so far, and that's the one side of the angle. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.